I had an interesting conversation with one of my boys yesterday. I had fun getting away and just going on a coffee date. I would just encourage you, if you have teenagers, super fun to get away and just let them be themselves and talk. But it was just good to hear about how God is moving in his life and some changes he feels coming around in his world. But we had interesting conversation about just what he's percolating on spiritually. And he said, one of the things that's really bothering me is now that I'm a little bit older, I see how many people are just playing church. How many people are going to church or hanging Bible verses on their wall, and literally you don't see any fruit in their life. You don't see any change in their behavior or the way that they talk. And he said, and yet I'll go meet people now in activities or at work who will just be very upfront that, hey, I'm not interested in going to church. I've never read the Bible. I didn't even know, much about what obeying God looks like. And he said, we can have great conversations because they are not under some delusion that they are faking their way in a relationship with God. They are just really real about it and really upfront. And he said, I'm finding those conversations are just fruitful because I'm dealing with people that actually admit where they are. And yet I can be in relationship with people who proclaim to be Christians and really have no interest in growing, no interest in following Jesus. They are Christians in name only, or in marking that I went to church off this week. And he said, I've just noticed that growing conversations aren't very fruitful with them. There is a total lack of interest and a total inability for it to be a fruitful conversation because they won't just say that. They won't just say that obeying God actually isn't my heart agenda. And he said, but I can talk to people who will just say that honestly to me. And then I can share some spiritual things that are going on in my life. And they at least find it interesting, even if it's not where they are right now. And there's a real difference when I try to do that with Christians. He said, they're not even interested. They are not even interested. They just don't want to acknowledge where they're at, and we can't even have a dialogue of mutual interest. So we were just talking about that, and why do you think that is? Why are so many Christians in name playing church? Why are we under this deception about where we really are? Why are we not wanting to communicate that? Why don't we care about our real standing with each other, and our real standing with God? We had, just fun, a lot of different conversation. And I appreciate his insight, as a young person. Parents, if we're not living real, the kids know it. The kids know it. This is why people are leaving the church. This is why young people are running. One reason, because, he and I, we discussed many reasons, but one of them is, we talked about how he said this virtue of the fear of the Lord is just dumbed down. It's played down. It's made to be distasteful. And so I was thinking about that today, fear the Lord and depart from evil. Like, that is a powerful word. I remember teaching that, to my kids as early as cubbies, Awana's classes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil, because anything along that line in the modern church is so uncomfortable. That makes people feel bad. We don't want anyone to feel bad. And we don't want anyone to think you would ever need to fear the Lord or fear something. And so we twisted into, well, one, we could not talk about it, or two, just, work on having a little respect for God. We just want to stay in that comfortable zone that says fear the Lord is respecting him. Well, there's no doubt that fear of the Lord includes respect, but we just don't want to admit that most of the Bible is the fear of the Lord called out trembling. It had called out a specific trembling fear, like we know it. Fear like, I am scared to death to be on the wrong side of you. And that there is nothing wrong with that. And that everything that God meant for good, which is a healthy fear to enable our flesh to lay down, the devil has just twisted so that we have unhealthy fears. We fear man, we fear everything else. We fear being sick, but we're just definitely not going to fear God. And we have been played. We have been played so that we do not fear the Lord and depart from evil. And we have a weak, lukewarm church that is going to get spewed out of God's mouth because he is not afraid to make us afraid. And we are not willing to deal with where we are, and we are not dealing with what he might go to lengths in order to get us where we are. And I just wanted to think on that with you. Our young people want real. Our young people want people to admit where they really are, and we need to show them steps of growth. If we are not pursuing Christ with our heart, I think, parents, it's time that we admit that in our homes and we get busy fearing the Lord and depart from evil and give these young people something to be excited about, which is Jesus is coming, and serving him is the best thing we can do with our life. Hope you all have a happy worship day.